All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our jam session here. Welcome to today's call. This is our very first time doing a YouTube live. We're generally over on Facebook Live. So excited to have everybody on board today. So much we need to talk about. And frankly, we need to get to a bigger platform as I start moving everybody over because when we're doing Zooms and that type of thing, we can only get 5,000 agents on there. So we're starting very small here. I figured we'd have 3 or 4 people on, but it looks like we've got a couple hundred already. Just testing this out, but more importantly, answering some questions that a lot of agents have here regarding growing their business and dealing with this whole lawsuit issue and commission structure. And now the other agent, that listing agent, has a lot more to do with how much money you make unless you make some adjustments to your own business. Do me a favor. In the chat right here, let us know where you're watching from. Just put in your city and state. Excited to see everybody here on the YouTube platform. And make sure that you do check in. We've got quite the referral business for everybody. Many of you know we've got agent to agent referrals. You guys are just connecting with each other if you have somebody that's moving to that local area. So feel free to put your own info in. Do me a favor. Don't be spamming, putting all kind of stuff in there. Nobody wants your website address. None of that stuff's needed. We're here to work with each other, to help each other, to answer the questions that you have regarding growing your real estate business. So that's going to be our topic here today. I got my postcard the other day regarding the lawsuit. Let me see if I can get it to focus. It's not going to focus, but it says if you sold a home and paid a commission to a real estate agent, you may be part of class action settlements. Every single home seller in America is getting this. Everybody that's ever sold a home in the last 4 years or 5 years or whatever is getting this thing about specifically the Burnett trial. That says Burnett. I know it's a little blurry. Hopefully I can show it to you. I'm going to try and share screen in a moment concerning the Burnett trial. All of these other lawsuits are going to create the exact same thing over and over and over, which means there's going to be a massive downward pressure on commission. And if you think people didn't like real estate agents before, when they start getting multiple numbers of these saying that they were overcharged, that it was fraudulent, that realtors were a scam all along, all of that crap, it's going to be even tougher. I'm not concerned about it. My real estate agents, the members involved with Inner Circle, with our Greg Luther Inner Circle coaching, they're not worried about it either because we're doing the right thing moving forward to take advantage of the fact that there's going to be droves of real estate agents that are leaving the business. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. We're seeing a lot of these 0% commissions. I think you'll see a lot more. Let me throw a little bait out there. I'm actually going to recommend a lot of people start doing 0% commissions in their MLS. And we'll talk a little bit about why that is. You're probably thinking, oh my gosh, what is he talking about here? I think you're going to find it to be helpful for you, for the co-oping agents you're working with, and a lot easier in your local marketplace. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what you need to do to set yourself apart to start generating a lot more business, getting sellers to list with you in this tight market. Sellers aren't wanting to list right now. So we'll talk a little bit about that and answer all of the questions you guys have. I know a lot of you've already sent in questions you were hoping I could address here today. We'll probably put some over in the Q&A as well. And I'm going to play around with this thing and see if I can get it to work properly and sharing my screen and showing you some stuff that way. I've got my new backdrop up, which you can see. Let me see here. Over here in the corner, it kind of almost covered it where it looks like I have a real bookshelf. Nope. You know, I'm real here. This is all fake. $19 on Amazon, but it looks a little different, which helps you on YouTube because you need to have a different backdrop consistently. So we'll talk a little bit about how you need to be presenting yourself to the public. And that's one of the things that will come up as well. But let's jump into this first of all. And again, make sure you check in the chat with the city and state you're in. You'll see why that is in a little bit. But let's talk a little bit about, first of all, the commission issue that's happening now. Now, you probably saw that in October, due to the Burnett trial, in October, NAR changed their code of ethics. They literally changed it to no longer say you must offer compensation to a co-oping broker. Now, that's not word for word. That's my own version of it. But what that means is now a lot of the MLSs no longer require that you put in at least $1. They are allowing 0%. Now, anytime we start talking about this, first of all, let me address, if you followed me for a while, you know I'm a very real person. You know that my reputation and success It's built on transparency and the no BS truth. And I don't hold back. I think one of the reasons we got in this mess to begin with is because people are so ill advised on we're not allowed to talk about commission. That's considered antitrust. We're not even allowed to mention commission. That's why so many people are ignorant when it comes to commission. A lot of people think the seller is paying the buyer brokerage. A lot of people think, well, the buyer really pays the commission because they're the one bringing money to the closing. Both are terribly wrong. Terribly wrong. But what's happened, fast forwarding to today, real estate agents don't even know how the hell people are paid. They have no idea how the money comes in, where it gets distributed, who's actually paying. We're not allowed to talk about commission. Commissions are negotiable. That could be price fixed. Like, how can I be talking to a guy in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we're fixing prices in his area? I'm not even licensed there. There's thousands of people that it can be chatting in a chat somewhere. How in the world could that be fixing a price in Orlando, Florida? It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, but frankly, it's why you have so much incompetence in your own marketplace. The other co-opting agents, I know you guys have all experienced that. You've co-opted with another agent and they didn't really know much of what they were doing. They weren't trained very well. Well, that's because so many people believe we shouldn't or can't even have a conversation about it. It's just hush hush. Well, that hush hush in your listing presentation is one of the reasons sellers feel duped. They didn't know how the money broke up. They didn't know how the fee structure works and that they're actually paying the listing agent and all of those factors that are involved here. So I want to kind of lay that to rest today. I think you're going to find it very helpful for you to understand this. One of the best ways we could ever fix our industry, and we're never going to do it. I'm the only one that's been harping on this for 5 years. We need to have 3 columns on our closing statement, period. We need to have 3. I've been buying a bunch of homes. Those of you that are in the cash offer program where I'm buying houses around the country. But we need to have 3 columns on the closing statement. So this is one that I just closed here. And the problem is there's 2 columns. There's 2 columns. Seller's fees, buyer's fees. Well, how are we going to break up the listing brokerage that they're paying Remax of Colorado a referral fee? They're paying Zillow a referral fee. They're paying 3% to a co-oping company, to Keller Williams, to Century 21, to Remax, whatever. How are we going to break that up so that it's described how it works? What we're doing now is we're putting it in the seller's line because it has to go somewhere. And the seller mistakenly thinks that they are paying that fee. No, you're paying 6%, 7% to your listing brokerage. Your listing brokerage is paying Zillow, co-op, out-of-state referrals, transaction coordinator, whoever it is that they're paying, but all of that is going in the seller's line. Do you agree the seller didn't pay the referral fee for the company out of Hawaii that referred this to you? No, it's coming from the listing brokerage fee. So part of the discrepancy we've had is that we don't have an accurate breakdown on our closing statement simply because there's no room for it. That has created a lot of the confusion that we're dealing with right now. If we had 3 columns, life would be a whole lot easier for us. But let's be clear about this. When a seller lists their home, they're paying 6%, 7%, 8%, whatever it is that you charge. And again, commissions are negotiable. Yes, you can charge whatever you want. By the way, for those of you that are Inner Circle members with me, remember, commissions are negotiable. You can go as high as you're worth. Keep going higher. You're better than them. You should get more. Remember, commissions are negotiable. You can go as high as you want to go. That doesn't mean negotiate down. You ever want to work with me? I'm negotiable. We'll negotiate as high as you want value from me. So with that in mind, they agree to pay that. And then we agree and disclose and discuss with the seller how much we're going to co-opt to a listing brokerage. Now, those of you that have been licensed for a long time, you remember back when buyer brokerages didn't even get paid at closing. It all went to the listing brokerage. That had to be deposited into their bank account. You had to wait 3 days for it to clear. And then you had to go to the listing brokerage and fill out the W-9 or the 1099 information so they could then cut you your check 3, 4, 5 days after closing. How many of you have been licensed long enough to remember those days? You remember the MLS books. You remember the old school stuff that we used to do. Well, in an effort to try and speed things up, they started putting it all on the closing statement. And the only thing that's there is seller side Buyer side. Well, it's technically coming from the seller proceeds. So they're putting it in the seller side. But that doesn't mean if they listed with Keller Williams, that doesn't mean they paid Century 21 a buyer broker fee. It also doesn't mean that they paid the listing agent's mortgage for them. It doesn't mean they paid the listing agent's steakhouse dinner tonight. Sure, that money went there, but they paid them and they're allowed to do whatever the hell they want with that money. So they decided to co-op with another brokerage. They decided to pay realtor.com or Zillow or OpCity or whatever. They're paying all of their fees. That doesn't mean the seller paid it. It's a fee that the listing agent, in reality, listing brokerage, has to pay. So I want to make sure you get that side of it right first. And by the way, all of the crazy real estate agents that say, well, the buyer is bringing the money, so technically the buyer pays it because that's where the funds come from. No, it's not where the funds, because technically the funds come from the buyer's employer. Well, actually, it comes from the buyer's employer's customers. How far do we want to track this back? Let me tell you how this works. That seller, they sold their stuff and then they paid all their expenses. Yes, somebody bought their stuff, but if they sell their car and then they pay off all of their expenses, that doesn't mean the buyer paid their expenses for them. No, the buyer bought something they were selling and then they had to distribute the funds. That's what's happening here. So anytime you hear a real estate agent say, well, the buyer brought the money, so the buyer is the one paying the commission. No, they're not. The seller sold something that they own, and then they're paying everybody that they owe. There might be a lien on that house. They may have an attorney involved. They might have to pay $20,000 to their ex-husband. They might have to do any of that. But don't think that the buyer is paying the ex-husband. No, the seller sold something that they own, and they're distributing accordingly. Now, moving on to this whole issue with 0% commission, and this is big. Now that now that sellers realize or believe from these letters that they're getting in the mail from attorneys saying that they're due money back because they were a victim of real estate agent. By the way, you got to see this thing. My son just got this because he bought a house. Anybody that's ever sold or bought a home in America in the last 5 years is getting these letters now saying that realtors screwed you. That's my version of what it says. And I'll show it to you. I'm going to bring it up on the screen here too. But now sellers are starting to become aware of this. And I guarantee you they're aware after all this mail hits. I got this yesterday. So I can guarantee you they're aware after all this mail hits. Now they're starting to negotiate a lot more. Well, a lot of listing agents aren't worth their salt when it comes to negotiation. They don't even see themselves as different or better. If they say they have a brother that would list it for less, they go less. Well, your brother can't do what I do. If you are better, you can negotiate a higher fee. But most agents look at themselves as commodities, so they're not negotiating well. And that's why we're seeing 2% co-op, 1.5% co-op. We're starting to see 0% co-op. But I want to point something out to you. I've been in real estate for 25 years. I've coached, I was looking this morning, 101,000 agents we have on our list here. At any given time, we've coached upwards of 30,000 realtors. I've seen all walks of life and every type of commission structure and anything that could ever happen in real estate. We've had somebody involved with it. But if you switch over to that commercial side, that's how commercial real estate works. There's no commission offered. You have to negotiate that in with your deal. So what we found is from some of the top producers in the country, guys and gals that are doing 500, 600 deals a year, when they started going 2.5%, 2% co-op, putting it in the MLS, oh, this seller only wants to go 1%, that type of thing, what they found was they were getting pushback. They found that some agents weren't showing their home. They found people were trying to blackball them, like you're going to actually fight for your right to get 3% every single time or whatever the case is. And they found that it was an issue. And you know what they found was easier? Just put 0 in there every time. Y'all negotiate what you want. That's how they do it in commercial. So, I've been on track so far. I don't make predictions very often, but many of you know, it's been 7.5 years next month. 7.5 years ago, I said we have less than 10 years left with the MLS. My specific statement on video was within 10 years, the MLS won't even exist. I think we're on track. I think that's where it's going. They're starting to make rules now that you have to put it in the MLS. You know why they make that rule? Because agents don't want to use it. because they don't want to put it in there because they can sell it without the MLS. So they got this pocket listing rule. It's not a law, by the way. It's a rule of your club, of your membership. This is a club. It's not a law, right? But what they're saying is you have to put it in the MLS or we're going to fine you as a member. Well, the reason that they have to create those rules is because people are doing it. They don't see value in the MLS. So I don't believe it will exist very soon. But what we found is instead of agents doing 2.5 or 2 or 1.5 or 1 or putting in various numbers, and then technically it would mean you're kind of steering the wrong way or discriminating or whatever. I don't want to show that one. It's not going to pay me much. Or my buyer doesn't have the money to pay me the difference. So I'm just trying to do the best I can and only show them the ones that my fee is covered. Instead of you making those choices, what if it was always just zero? Y'all put in the contract whatever you want. No, I don't know if that's the best way. And obviously, seek legal advice, check with your broker, all the disclaimers I need to give you. But for an awful lot of the agents that I've talked to here, what if we just always work out our own deal? That's how commercial's been for 1,000 years. It's always been that way, and it would make it a lot easier. So something for you to think about, because when those things do come in to your MLS, and I'll always hear someone comment, well, I haven't seen that at all in my marketplace. In my marketplace, it's different. And then you'll hear someone from the same market say, well, you sure aren't selling many houses. I just looked, you had 5 deals last year. No wonder you're not seeing what's actually happening right now. Those that are doing a lot of business are seeing a lot more of this. So it is happening. And by the way, you may have never seen one in your MLS, but it's sweeping the nation and it's going to consistently and continuously happen. A couple of things for you to think about here. Will your lender allow you to put 2% or 3% paid to the buyer's agent? Will they allow that to be built into the contract? Is that considered chattel? Will they allow it to go in? Is that coming out of with the allowable closing costs? All of those factors. Here's the bad part, and we found this out nationwide. Your lender doesn't know that answer. They have to go to the underwriter. This is new for them too. The underwriter doesn't know that answer. It's just never come up before. These are things you need to get ready before those issues happen. You need to get those answers so that you can do an effective job for your client. So you can do a good job negotiating for them as well as for yourself. Okay? So start thinking about, if I do come across one of these deals that's 0% or 1%, sure, I'm a good negotiator. I can put it all in. I can describe to my buyer, hey, there's a deficiency here. You'll need to come up with the difference. I know you don't have the money. We might be able to build it in. You can do all of that language you need to do, but will the lender allow it? Because I know if I put a washer and dryer in there, some lenders won't allow. If I just say include the couch, they'll say you have to write that out. Well, the couch is for like $400. So if we're talking 3% or even 2% or whatever that number is, you better make sure that the lender is okay with it and don't just say, yeah, I think we'll be okay. That's not a good enough answer for me. I don't want to get to the day before closing and they say, you're not getting paid. So you need to work this out. We are in a different environment. And I'm telling you, if you've been licensed for 30 years, you know this is a different feel. This is a different approach. And you just have to protect yourself when those deals come up. Okay. But I don't think, by the way, and again, this is my opinion, and I'm sure I'll say 5 or 6 things that upset you today or offend you and everything else. I haven't tried very hard if I haven't, but I'll always give you my opinion. I believe that it's always been crazy to split a commission like that. So if I'm only good enough to negotiate 5, you as the buyer's agent should only get 2.5. Well, what if I'm really good and I negotiate 8? Do you deserve 4? Or are you going to be mad when I give you what would be pretty close to normal or customary or what everybody else is doing, and then I keep 5? Is that rude? Like, should I just be negotiating on your behalf and you should get a big bonus because I'm really good? When you look at some of these closing statements here, and I've shown a lot of you, when you look at some of these closing statements with an 18% commission, deal closed, you can't say, oh, well, the normal in this area. Every one of those that I have, nearly a dozen of them last year, every single one of them was in areas that are 4.5%, 5%. You're doing really good if you get 5.5 or 6. Look, you're worth what you're worth. Every attorney in America that makes $50 an hour hates the attorney that gets $2,000 an hour. He passed the same bar exam. He's got less experience. He hasn't won the cases that this $50 an hour guy has won and everything else. But you know why he's better? Because he's perceived as better. There's more value there. They will drive past 70 attorneys to get to the one that charges $2,000 an hour. So you as a real estate agent, I want you to be good at what you do. I want you to offer something that's unique that you offer that nobody else does, that they can't replace for less money and they can't replace for more money. They can't replace what it is that you offer. If you think you're just throwing it on the MLS and fielding contracts and handling showings and ultimately setting up the showing or the closing, hell, they can do that for less than 1%. You've already been replaced. You are a commodity realtor because all you offer is a commodity and anybody will do it. But I'm telling you, any commodity in the world, there's good and there's bad. By the way, is there good toilet paper? Is there bad toilet paper? It's freaking toilet paper. But I ain't using cheap stuff. You ever see, like, it might as well be tracing paper. You go to one of those cheap gas stations and it's like see-through. That ain't going to work, right? I have to consume all of it. There's a difference in everything: quality, quantity, price. All of those factors come into play. When you're negotiating with a homeowner, yes, commissions are negotiable. Yes, you should offer them a higher level of service, a higher level of marketing, a better way for them to get their desired results so they can pay a premium to work with you. If you're average, we better fix your damn offer. We better fix your presentation. If you're getting what everybody else in your area gets, we better fix what it is that you're offering, because you can totally be replaced by someone that will do that cheaper. What I want is something that no one else can say, I can do that at any price. When you look at the target marketing that we use, being able to expose the property to the most opportune buyers, rather than just throwing it on the MLS, that is of value to the homeowner. And we're able to get a premium for that. Remember, attorneys want us to remind everybody commissions are negotiable. You can go as high as you're worth. So this is a good thing for us. We have more real estate agents leaving the business than we've ever had before. Frankly, it's the largest association on the planet. No other association, not the National Rose Society or anything like that, the National Old Lady Blue Hats Society, nothing has 1.5 million members. So half of them will likely be gone. And I want to change my prediction that I made earlier in the year that we'll probably lose 200,000 realtors this year. I think we'll lose more than that. We're well on track to lose more than that, because I'm sure you saw the stat the other day where an independent third party did research and checked every individual agent, including those that are under a team name. And they found that 49% of real estate agents sold 1 or 0 homes in 2023. 49%. Let me round it up. 50%. Every other realtor sold 1 or 0 in 2023. That includes full-time realtors. It includes the hairdresser that also has their license. It includes the real estate agent that's on a team and has everything in the team name. 49% of them sold 1 or 0. They're lost. They're confused. They don't know what's going on. So what I want to do, I want to try and share my screen. I don't know if this is going to work here. I tried it earlier. So my team can text me here and let me know if this works, because I want to show you guys what's being mailed to homeowners. Every homeowner or home buyer you've ever worked with is getting this. So let me see if I can make this work. And I'm going to try entire screen window. Let me try window. I don't think it's going to work for me. Let me try again. Share screen. Because I want you guys to see this. I really think this is going to be something you need to be aware of. Yeah, it's not letting me share. I got to figure this thing out if I want to do some Facebook Lives with you guys. Let me just try this and see if it works. If my team can let me know, can you see this now or can you not see this now? Yeah, I don't think you can see it, but let me, and I'll stop sharing here. But what I wanted to show you is this postcard. And again, it actually came to my house because my son bought his first house when he was 19 years old. And by the way, he paid cash. There was no mortgage or anything else involved. He was a buyer, not a seller. But he's 19 years old, buys his first house. He used this house as the tax mailing address because he didn't have another address. That was on his driver's license. And this letter came from Burnett, ETAL, the National Association of Realtors, and JND Legal Administration. And it says, if you sold a home and paid a commission to a real estate agent, you may be part of class action settlements. That's what that says right there. Okay. I really wish I could share my screen there. And it says a federal court authorized this notice. It's not from a lawyer. You are not being sued. You are entitled to compensation. This is from the Residential Real Estate Broker Commission's antitrust settlement. And then on the back, it has look how small this print is about why you deserve money, because we've proven, and it specifically says, Realology Holdings, Remax LLC, Keller Williams Realty, resolving certain claims, including a lawsuit known as Burnett, National Association of Realtors, the District of Missouri. So it's showing all of this stuff here, and it talks about how all NAR members have actually violated. What happens next? You may not even know this. By April 13th of 2024, they need to file their claim to opt out. Otherwise, they automatically get money. If they want to opt out, they can do so by April 13th. And then on May 9th, the court is holding a hearing to consider whether to grant final approval of the settlements. And let me tell you, they're getting paid. They are getting big money. If you were a homeowner, the estimates that I've seen, the attorneys got $10 million. There was a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit, and they were fighting for the people. What I've heard is every homeowner that sold a home and got taken advantage of from all these realtors is supposed to get up to $21. $21 in settling this. You know how crazy that is? $21. Everything we've dealt with, the demolishing that they're creating of our reputation by sending these out multiple times to every single homeowner and home buyer in America that's ever done a deal. Because, by the way, with my son buying this house, I'm not going to give you too many details on it, but he bought it for cash. There was no lender involved. It was a sheriff sale foreclosure, and there was no real estate agent involved. They're pulling this from every title deal that's ever happened. Every transfer of title. There was no real estate agent. There was no real estate brokerage. There was no mortgage involved. It was a cash deal, sheriff sale, no agent. And we're getting this. This came yesterday, by the way, so it's starting to sweep absolutely everywhere. This is out of Seattle, Washington, is where they sent it. The pre-sort mail was mailed out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right there. And I live in Ohio. His house is 4 miles down the road from me. So this is going out to all of them, which makes them think, sounds like real estate agents have taken advantage of us. They charge too much. They made us pay fees we shouldn't have paid, which is totally untrue. Every one of us work our tail off, do a good job. We're honest, legal, moral, ethical. Those that are involved, like if you're on here, it's because you're trying to always be better. You're trying to do a better job, not the scammers that are out there, that small number of bad people. I don't care who it is. It can be realtors. It can be lenders. It can be bankers. It can be cops. It can be doctors. There's a small number of everybody that's bad people. There's a small number of bad landscapers that would do unethical stuff. They'll steal something out of your garage if you're not watching, but it's a small number. Most of us are trying our very best to do a really good job for our clients. This looks horrible. It looks horrible on us. And they're going to do this for every single one of the lawsuits. That's why Keller Williams settled, to try and make this go away so future lawsuits don't come up, so we can try and it's almost, we admit no guilt, but we want this to go away. And that's certainly the case here, right? Like nobody did anything, that they weren't guilty of anything. I question a lot of the stuff that NAR does, because, by the way, if it was a optional membership, they'd have about 12 people, not 1.5 million if they weren't forced into paying. Okay, well, we need them for the code of ethics. Well, first of all, I have my own code of ethics. I want to be very clear. I've been 25 years in this business. I never did the right thing because NAR told me to. I did the right thing because I'm a right-minded person. Never once did I even think, oh, I don't want to do that. I'll get in trouble with NAR. I would have gotten in trouble with me. And our local board actually does a better job of policing this stuff. Like if NAR did a great job with code of ethics, we wouldn't have all the code of ethics problems we have in your local marketplace. All the crap that you see happening all the time. You know who doesn't let them get away with that? Your local MLS. They need to have a code of ethics because damn, you just used the wrong word and they're fining you. You don't put it in within 48 hours, they're giving you a fine. You use the last realtor's photo, you're getting a fine. Like they know how to police this stuff. But if we have local, state, and national, I think if we get rid of national, that we'll be okay. Oh, well, we need them because they're lobbyists for us. That's what got us here. They're not winning. Just because someone is representing you, if they do a bad job representing you, you probably ought to get rid of them. That was not a notice to NAR. That was a notice to the stupid attorneys that they had helping them. Because look, you don't even know that a seller has never paid a buyer agent before. But I want you to think about this because like, oh, Greg, I'm not worried about it. Even if it says 0%, I can negotiate in the contract for the seller to pay me. You know what's happening then? The seller's paying the buyer brokerage. That was the freaking problem to begin with. You can't negotiate in there for the seller to pay ABC Realty for representation of the buyer. That's what the lawsuit was about, that they assumed that was the case. Now, you might be able to put in there from the proceeds of sale or from the listing brokerage. I don't know. Check with an attorney, check with your local brokerage. But I want you to really think about this because I want you to protect yourself. You deserve to be paid. If you bring the buyer, it's your deal. You deserve to be paid. But you got to make sure that you're paid and that you're legal, you're compliant, everything's working the right way. Okay? So make sure that you understand that. But know that 0% and 1%, 1.5%, and all that is on the way. If you don't get up to par on this, you're going to be working for less than half price. Look at the money you made last year. If you do that same amount of production this year, you're going to make half that money. And by the way, for an awful lot of you, the reality is if you look at what you did last year, if you do double that this year, it's still not enough. You need coached up on what the hell you need to do. How am I going to pick up buyers and sellers? How am I going to negotiate a good fee? It's important for you to, and I don't care who you use, but get somebody that will provide the guidance, direction, and instruction that you need. So I want to make sure that you do that. Okay. Very, very important. That you protect yourself that way. And I know I haven't over in the chat, I haven't been watching through the chat. I may try and read through some of those again. This, if you're just joining us live, this is my very first time I've ever done a YouTube live. I've been doing Facebook Live for years. But you know, I want to try and get everybody together in one spot, have a live open chat here, let everybody talk about what's really important. But these are the types of things you need to know. There's a whole lot of bad information that's going out there. And being told to us now about what we should do, what we can do, what we can't do, everything else. I've always known, and you've always known, commissions are negotiable. That's why we negotiate so much higher than anybody else in town. They can interview anybody they want, 5%, 5.5%. My brother will do it at 4%. Whatever it is that they're doing, we'll get 6, 7, 8, or far more every single time. Because there's a difference in what we do. Do you think that Rolls-Royce is worried that Kia is selling cars buy one, get one free? Do you think Rolls-Royce gives a damn what they're doing right now? Well, it's a car. Well, I'll just get a Kia. If you're not going to negotiate on your $430,000 for this car, I'll just go pay $12,000 for one. They don't care about that. Mine is better. You want this. You want this status symbol. So your goal is to set something up where you are in a category of one, a one of one. And they can only get what you offer if it's a target marketing approach, whatever the case is. They can only get that if they work with you. So they can't replace that in any way from anything that's out there. Okay. I was just playing around, see if I can figure out how to share my screen again. I really wanted to show that to you guys. But maybe I can scan it and send it to you where you can read the back, all this stuff here, what you need to do, how you were affected, what do the settlements provide. Anywhere Remax and Keller Williams have agreed to pay collectively $208 million, $500,000 into a settlement funds. The funds have been distributed to qualifying settling class action members. Here's how you get payment, all of that stuff. It's all on here. And everybody that's done a deal, I saw a couple of you in the chat said, I got that card. I don't even care about the card. I don't even care about the $20. I care about the irreparable damage, irreparable damage that's being created to our industry. My clients are getting something that says I took advantage of them. This was common practice in the marketplace. That's something that is going to take decades to ever fix. And it's going to continue happening as well. So hopefully we can get this under control. We can get it straightened out. Again, the attorneys get $10 million, and congratulations, you helped the victims. They got $21. Really? Like, that's what all this was about. We got all kinds of issues that are happening here. So anyway, going back to my topics here, and I got a lot that I want to cover with you guys today because I want you to make some money. I want you to close lots of deals, have a good, solid business, and I never want you acting out of fear. I never want you worried about where the business is going. You always look at, okay, the business is screwed up. There's a lot of people leaving the industry. How can I promote myself, capitalize on this, survive, and thrive when everyone else is struggling? They're struggling because of lack of information, lack of direction on what they need to do. If you have the right direction, you're winning. Look at all of the agents that are involved in our inner circle coaching and doing really, really well right now. Look at all the agents that were on the $100,000 agent challenge Monday that are shocked with how well it's already working, how many leads they're already getting. Now, by the way, I'm recording this live less than 48 hours later, and they're already getting leads. And they're saying, Greg, that was the best content I've ever seen. I've been involved with coaches forever. It's very simple. I want you to do well because you're going to stay around for years and years as long as I get you closing business. I want you to do well, but you have to have the instruction on what to do. This is not about you being a good real estate agent. It doesn't matter what brokerage you're with. That does not matter. You can't go to another brokerage and all of a sudden your business is turned on. They weren't going with you because of your brokerage in the first place. And they're not, because by the way, there's already agents that went to that brokerage and are struggling. Everyone in America has agents that are struggling. So it has nothing to do with the brokerage. It has to do with what you do as a real estate agent. You guys agree that you are responsible for you as an independent contractor? No matter what brokerage you're with, you can do a good job if you step up to the plate. Is that true? Give me a thumbs up or give me a like or whatever we have to do on here. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree it's up to you? If it's going to be, it's up to me. So it does not matter what brokerage. Oh, they have great training. Their training is done by people that sold 3 deals last year. That dude is an idiot. You do not want to do what he tells you to do. So as a real estate agent, it's your responsibility to get the advice, the structure, the tools that you need. You're not going to get it by going to any brokerage. That's like asking which CRM is the best. All of them suck. It's which one sucks the least. Same with brokerages, right? There's positives and there's negatives to all. I could tell you 50 good things. I could tell you 50 bad things. By the way, you could do the same thing about your spouse. You choose to focus on one or the other. That's why when you're mad, you hate 73 things about him. When you're not mad, you like 73 things about him. But you're never going to sit there like, I can't believe how loud he breathes. Why does he breathe so freaking loud? I can't believe the way he folds his towels. Why does he fold his towels? It's driven me crazy for years. No, you're mad about something else. So the same is true here with a brokerage, with a CRM, with the program, with your coach that you have, with the spouse you live with. It all comes down to you're focusing on the positive side or you're focusing on the negative side. There's a whole lot of both. Well, that's certainly the case in real estate right now. There's a whole lot of both. Which one are you going to focus on? Know the bad side, take advantage of the positive side. Now, your success is going to come down to your relationship with investing. Do me a favor and write that down. Your relationship with investing. That's how you're going to succeed or you're going to fail here because, and when I say investing, investing in you. The fastest way to wealth is to turn advertising into profit. Be very clear on this. Be very clear on this. There is no better investment. I know freaking rental properties. I eventually want to own rental property so I can clear $300. Really? So you what? So you can pay half of your electric bill? Now you need two of them to pay an electric bill. You need four of them to pay a car. You need eight of them to pay a house. Like, what are you talking about? Did you know you can spend $500 in marketing and get a $10,000 closing? So spend 500, get 10,000. Double it, get 20,000. You spend $1,000, you get 20,000. Now, I don't know what your numbers are. I don't even know if you have a good offer. But I gave the example the other day. Many of you that saw me live in the studio, I gave the example. Let's say that they were allowing Super Bowl commercials for you, and they were going to charge you $1,000. Okay, $1,000, you could have a Super Bowl commercial. It's 7 million. But let's say they were allowing it, but it was within a 15-mile radius of your house. So the local cable network was doing the TV commercial within a 15-mile radius, and they said for $1,000, you can be in front of every one of them. Biggest watch sporting event ever. Had nothing to do with football. It's the biggest watch sporting event in the history of ever. Biggest watch event of all sorts, not even sports. What would you say on that commercial? Let's go ahead and shoot the commercial now. What would you say? Hi, my name is Joe Johnson. I'm a realtor here in town, and I really care about everything I touch turns to sold. I've been selling for 17 years. I'm a top producer in my area. What are you going to say? I can put you in front of everybody and you don't have a good offer? You have to change that. Maybe if we change it to, hey, listen, I know you're watching the Super Bowl, but this is important. If you've been thinking about buying a house, you are wasting your time. Do me a favor. Run a search on Zillow right now. You will find nothing available. You know why? Because the best homes are sold before they ever make it to the open market. As a matter of fact, if you're looking on Zillow right now, you're looking at leftover properties that nobody else wanted. You think that's how professional home buyers are buying? You think the deal shoppers are buying from the MLS? Absolutely not. The best deals are sold long before they ever make it to the open market. I have what's called the Perfect Home Finder program, where we have a marketing campaign we can send out to find unlisted sellers that will sell directly to you, and you'll never be in a multiple offer situation. You'll be the only offer on the home, and nobody else will know it's for sale. If you're interested, call me at the number below or scan this QR code. That's about 60 seconds. And I'll spank every realtor in town because the offer is better. Now, how do I find the homes? What's the letter look like? What do I do when the seller does call me? How do I make sure I get a commission? What if the buyer goes there and buys it without me? That's what we do. Those of you that are Inner Circle Coaching members, you already know how that works. If you're not a member, you need to open another window now and go to gregluthercoaching.com and find it. Find it so you can get your business going the right way. But if I gave you a Super Bowl commercial and I hit record on our commercial, what would you say? If it doesn't sound really, really amazing, the problem's not the market. The problem's not interest rates. The problem's not there's not enough people buying or selling right now. The problem is the offer sucks. Because if you can't get a date and there's all these single people out here, don't be blaming it on anything other than what you're offering. There's a whole lot of people that want to get a date. If you can't get someone to meet with you or talk to you or let you buy them a drink or they buy you a drink or whatever the case is, I promise you it's your breath. I promise you that's the case. Maybe you shouldn't have holes in your shoes. Maybe you ought to try a little harder because the issue is you. You can, the economy, just nobody goes out anymore after COVID, all the crap that everybody wants to tell themselves. And I've worked with real estate. We had a death in the family. And I've just had a real hard time recovering. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. How long ago did you deal with this? I guess it's been 7.5 years ago now. What? Oh, I was diagnosed with cancer and I went through treatments 5 years ago. I think it's time for us to get back on our horse. I think that's what your loved one would want you to do. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. You get to decide how long you're going to suffer. Pain is inevitable. We're all going to deal with that. You have to get serious about your business. So your success is dependent upon how you look at advertising and expenses of advertising. If I said, here's the magic postcard you need to send out, and if you send 5,000 of them, you'll generally get 3 to 5 sellers that want to work with you. The last thing you need to be asking is, how much does that cost? It costs you about $35,000 not to do it. Can you afford that cost? Because the loss of income is certainly a lot more than the loss of advertising expense. The fastest way to wealth is to learn how to turn advertising into profit. So you have to get that side right. Now, I believe and many of you that have been following for a while, we are at the perfect storm right now. We've got so many agents that are leaving the business. We've got over the next 60 to 90 days, we'll probably see rates start to drop a little bit. We've got people that'll be flooding back into the market. You should be taking advantage of this, but if your offer sucks or you don't have any advertising out there, what are you going to do? Keep pulling from your sphere? Your sphere is not big enough and you don't do a good job marketing to it. Which brings me to my next point. One of the most important things for you to do here, one of the most important, is to build your audience. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I can see a lot of my Inner Circle coaching members here in the chat. Thank you so much for checking in, by the way. I see Mike here said, I love the Inner Circle coaching, worth the money. Let's see. I totally agree. Getting lots of thumbs up here. And I see some of you had some questions too. I'll try and address those in a moment. But I want you to build your audience because this is what makes you successful. Let me give you an example. There's a lady out there these days named Taylor Swift. Not sure if you're familiar with her. Maybe you should Google her. Almost sounds funny to say, doesn't it? She's good at what she does. What is she? She's a singer. She ain't 2,500% better than the next singer. She's good. She's not 250 times better than the next person. She has a great audience and a crazy good relationship with her audience that they get an emotional reaction and actually feel attached as though they know each other. And Taylor Swift has no idea who they are. What she call them? Her Swifties, right? She even has a name for them. Her Swifties. She's very good at what she does. But she knows that her success does not depend on how do I make my voice a little better? I want to hit that little higher octave there. How can I make sure I have a better outfit on so that more people will like me? She knows that her success is dependent upon her relationship with her audience. So much so that she's dating the football player and that became the most watched because now you have 9-year-old girls watching the Super Bowl. She has a good relationship with her audience. I want you to think about this. What kind of relationship do you have with your audience? How big is it? We already know 80, 90% of your deals are probably coming from your sphere of influence. So I don't care if you sold 5 transactions last year or you sold 50 transactions last year. For an awful lot of you, 80 or 90, if you sourced your leads, they came from past client, word of mouth, referral. So how do you prompt that to happen a lot more for yourself? How do you make that happen for yourself? And what we've been talking a lot about lately, and those of you that are following here, and you should be following the YouTube channel and make sure you ring the bell, turn on notifications, that type of thing, because I've been spending a lot of time teaching agents how to cultivate that audience. Maybe your total audience now, past clients, sphere of influence, don't miss this one, unconverted leads that you've never talked to before. They should all be in one audience. Put them in your CRM, put them in an Excel file, put them all in one location, and you talk to them regularly. How do we do that? Start with an email every other Tuesday. Every other Tuesday, you send an email. You send them an item of value, an article of value. Don't send them, oh, I just wanted you to remember me. If you know anybody buying or selling, please let me know. They're going to unsubscribe. Stop it. You're begging for business. It's humiliating. Stop it. What you need to do is educate them, provide helpful information. For some reason on YouTube, I haven't figured out how to share my screen yet. So I'm going to show you here. If we go to one of the websites I like to use, and this is a good resource for you. One of the websites I like to use is cnbc.com. Okay. I don't go to Fox News or CNN because everybody says it's politically biased and they're going to start their crap about Trump and whatever. So I go to cnbc.com. It's just a financial website. Okay. So when you go to cnbc.com, which is probably going to bomb after 4 o'clock today because NVIDIA is giving their earnings and we're either going to do really, really well or we are about to have a forced nationwide, worldwide recession after 4 o'clock today because so much is tied to NVIDIA. Oh, look at that right there. Stocks fall because of NVIDIA earnings. It says right on the front page. But we'll know soon. I think that's the beginning of the end here, depending on what they say. But regardless, I would go up here and I would click on business. If you're on desktop, you'll click on business and then you click on real estate. And when you click on real estate, there's dozens and dozens of articles there, dozens of articles. And the reason I want you to do that, so on mobile, it says, let me get it to come up again. On mobile, right here, I'll click on business and then I'll click on real estate. And when I do that, there's dozens of articles. I can choose anything I want on mortgages, on new construction homes, on number of properties available. I can do whatever. And then I can email that link, an independent third party. I can email that link from CNBC to all of my people on my list. And I can say, hey, I saw this article. I thought you'd find it very helpful here. I totally agree on this, but man, did they get it wrong on that. Let me know your thoughts here. That gets an engagement going with your people. You're providing helpful content for them. You don't have to have anything for sale. You don't have to say, by the way, if you're buying or selling a home, please keep me in mind. You don't have to do that. Be their real estate agent. Give them educational, helpful, insightful advice. And if you do that every other Tuesday, you think you were doing okay from your sphere? Watch how much business you get. That's a whole lot better than sending hand-addressed letters with a freaking foil stamp on the back. Yeah, anything you do will work, but watch what happens when you pour into them. Watch what happens when you make them feel smarter, more educated, more informed on what's going on in the market right now. Watch how much more confident they are when they do take action. So these are things that you need to say, man, I haven't done a good job with my sphere of influence. I mail them a calendar at Christmas, right? Like I got a calendar on my phone. What do I need? What am I going to walk to the refrigerator to see what the 28th is? What day of the week that is? What are you talking about? So I want to provide helpful stuff for them. You know what used to be helpful? The local football schedule used to be helpful. The sports team schedule. Well, we have this new thing called the internet. And people are starting to use that. So now they don't need you to do that anymore. It's like sending recipes, right? So if you have good, helpful, educational information, you will do very, very well with that sphere. And you're going to get a lot more people coming into you. But, again, going back to that, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is hilarious. He's a really good comedian. He's also, he's not incredibly tall. He's not incredibly good looking. He doesn't come from a rich family. I don't know anything about him, but I know what he's done is he's done a good job with his audience. And the bigger his audience gets, the more successful he becomes. You know that 70-year-old realtor in your market that sells a lot of houses, and everybody says, well, she sells a whole bunch of houses, but it's just because she's been doing it for so long. She's got so many past clients. He or she has done a good job staying in touch with them, but they've built an audience. Now, you don't have to sell them a home for them to be in your audience. You can take all of your old unconverted leads from Zillow, from Realtor.com, from Commissions Inc., from OpCity, from whatever. You can put all of those in your audience and just providing helpful content on a regular basis. When they're ready, they contact you. How helpful is that? So I want you to really think about how you're going to build your business here and go about it the right way in the face of adversity, in the face of all the stuff going on with commission structure, what we need to be saying, how we need to be negotiating. I don't recall, but our menu of services that I share with agents all the time, I think you can get it at, I think it's menuofservices.com, where we give them 3 different columns. Okay. You can have good, better, or best. Now, again, commissions are negotiable. Charge whatever you want. 5, 6, 7, 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, 5, 6, 8. I don't care what you charge, but you provide a good, better, best. Nobody is going to take the cheap. Nobody is going to take the cheap. You can offer it to them. They're like, no, I want to get this stuff too. No, I want professional photos. No, I want a drone footage. No, I want you to use a mailing list broker to expose it to the most opportune buyers based on the amenities that my unique home has to find that unique buyer. I want that. I want the staging services. I want the additional services that are being offered. That is how you build value and you show. And by the way, I think you're a lot safer if you do have a menu of services, because that means commissions are negotiable. I was giving them options. I said, here's the menu. Which one do you want? So you can't say that I told them this is standard. It has to be this. No, I actually gave them 3 options. They chose the most expensive one. Okay. So yeah, you can actually, I saw in the comments here, Christina says, are you willing to share the menu of services? I think it's menuofservices.com. I'm not positive on that. But I think if you go to menuofservices.com, you will see that there. Okay. So I was just looking at what my team sent me here for me to share screen because I wanted you to see this postcard on this freaking lawsuit and the Burnett trial and all that stuff. I don't know why it's not showing us here. I'm going to try one more time because I do want you guys to see this. Let me see. Also share tab audio. I'm going to turn that off. Let's see if that works. Can you guys see the screen there, or is it black again? You see it there, Teresa, or no? How about now? Any different there? Hey, we got it figured out. Check this out. So here's the postcard. Look at this. Hey, we're on gear now. You better invite somebody to this thing. Give me a heart and a likes and everything else because a non-techie person figured out some tech. We're going to show you this postcard that was sent out. And again, this is my Ohio house, but it was mailed to my son because my son bought a house. I guess he bought it about 2 years ago. And what you'll see here is it says, if you sold a home and paid a commission to a real estate agent, you may be a part of class action settlements. Okay. And by the way, I don't know the details of it. I don't know who's getting it. It's supposed to be every real estate agent. They want to copy your closing statement, whatever. But you could go to realestateCommissionLitigation.com. Okay. So that's where you could go in order to get that. Now, let me see here. Of course, it won't let me scroll on this thing. I wanted you to see the other side, which is the side that really matters. But you can see this is from Seattle regarding the Burnett trial and NAR. And then it was sent from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You see that? So what I want to do, let me try and get to this second part, this bottom part, and then I'll share again. Rotate because it was upside down. Here we go. And I'll even make it bigger where you can read it because you want to talk about fine print. I saw somebody said in the comments, man, is that some fine print there? Share screen. Let's see. Share. Okay. You should see that now. Okay. Is that coming up? Somebody say yes in the comments there. Okay. So what you see is, let's just look at the blue section here. It says, am I affected? What do the settlements provide? How do I get a payment? What are my other options, which is basically to opt out if you do nothing, right? Or exclude yourself. What happens next? And then questions. So what they're doing is, of course, the attorneys were only allowed, I don't know the exact terms, but like they were allowed to get up to $10 million. So they got their $10 million because they won. But now they got people answering these phone calls, answering these emails, processing all this stuff, getting copies of everything. They're billing for all that stuff. They've created jobs for themselves. Right? But this is what's happening right now in every single buyer and seller in America. This is happening. Every single one. So they're getting this, and it looks bad on real estate agents. It does. It looks like real estate agents did something they shouldn't do. If you've ever had a class action lawsuit where the car dealership that you bought from, they did etching in the glass, so you're entitled to $150 or whatever. They called it a security feature or something like that. You didn't look very favorably towards that car dealer anymore because they lost a lawsuit of taking advantage of their customers. That is literally what this says. That's literally what it says. Okay. And I can see over in the chat here, so many of our coaching members. Adriana says, since I started using the menu of services, I've never had a hard time again. I mean, we're seeing this over and over and over. This is the way you need to be presenting yourself because it gives them options and they will usually upsell themselves. No, I don't want cheap. No, I don't want middle. I really like this one. Thank you for letting me know I could do what my brother could do for me. I didn't realize my brother would have to spend $3,000 in marketing. He won't do that because I'm loaning him money. So I'm not listing with him. I want to list with you. It's the right way to go about it. If you're not coached on this stuff, guys, particularly like you think you had a hard time with commission before, look at what's happening now. You need to get trained up on what needs to be done. And if you have a team, you need to be coaching your team members that are going out there on how to go about this the right way, what your policies are on how you're going to make this work. Okay. But this stuff about, commissions are negotiable and they weren't told and whatever, I guarantee you, most of these attorneys, they're getting 30% of what comes in. They talk about homeowners paid an exorbitant fee of 2% or 3%. And that was, it was price fixing and they charged too much and they took all your equity, but they're taking 35% of their damn lawsuit. 35%. Well, yeah, but we don't charge them anything. We only charge if we win. Same with us. We had to pay for pictures. We had to pay for drone. We had to pay for our assistants. We had to pay for the postcards. We had to pay for everything we do. We only get paid if we win. We take our listings on contingency, which means if we win, if we get to the closing table, we get paid. If we don't win, if we overpriced it, if we didn't market it correctly, we lose all of the money that we invested too. But again, I think attorneys, NAR did a bad job picking their attorneys and teaching their attorneys how it actually works to begin with. So I want you to think about how you're going to handle your business, what moves you're going to make, and how you're going to make a transition for yourself here. I don't have anything for sale on this training, by the way. This is literally to get your questions answered. By the way, feel free to put your questions in the Q&A. Try and keep them tight so that I can answer them and do a good job for you here. So I don't have anything. Those of you that are asking about Inner Circle Coaching, just go to gregluthercoaching.com. That's it. Or you can go to getfastclosings.com. Go find it for yourself. I don't have anything for sale. This is just for you to get you making money here today. Any questions that you do have, you're able to put them in the Q&A. If it's about commission structure, how to negotiate, the things that you should be doing. But I got to tell you, there's coaches out there. Now, I don't know if this is true. Let me give a disclaimer here, but I've heard it from dozens and dozens of people, including brokerage owners, that one real estate coach who shall remain nameless, it's the big one that everybody knows, the one that's never been licensed in his life and he's never, ever sold a home. His dad sold a lot of houses, right? Like, I'm not a heart surgeon, but my dad was a real good one. Can I do heart surgery on you? Has never been in front of a client in his life. My understanding is that his training video was actually brought up in the court case. And his training video said, when you're negotiating on commissions, here's what you say. This is what I charge, and I'm not negotiable on that. Next question. That's literally what he taught them, which they were using to prove commissions are not negotiable, right? Or that we were price fixing or whatever. I don't have any verification on that, but I've heard from multiple sources that that's the case, that the big coach has been coaching the whole country that commissions are not negotiable. This is my fee. End of story. Next question. It's literally the script that was being taught. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I have had multiple people tell me that. Verify yourself. But that was part of the actual case that people are saying that. Listen, I got to tell you, man, I have always told people commissions are negotiable. If you are better, you deserve more. What do you mean? Like, you should tell them, hey, there's a lot of average crap out there. If you want average, that's not me. If you go back to my bulletproof listing presentation, the training on our member site, that the first one we did was 13 years ago. You know what we start with? Here's the script. I'll give it to you word for word. Somebody could type it in the chat before I even say it, because I've been teaching this for years. Here's what it says. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, before we even get started here, I do want to let you know that I am by far the most expensive real estate agent you'll ever interview. If you're looking for somebody that'll do it a discounted fee or that type of thing, I am not the best one for you. But what I'd like to do is take a few minutes to show you why that is, why I charge more, why I earn more, and how it can actually bring more to your bottom line. Does that sound fair? That's the script. I've been teaching that for a year, to literally go out there and say I charge more, because you know what the sellers do? They're like, whoa, you charge more? Because what they were thinking is, well, the Remax guy is 5%. The Keller Williams guy is 5.5%. If he's not less than that, I'm doing more. Like, whatever the brokerage is. I don't care what the company is, but he's thinking in his mind, it better be less than 5. It better be less than 5. If he's more than 5, I don't know why he's still talking to me. He better just tell me how much he charges. Because all they're doing is price shopping. If I can get them to value shop, I can bump them up. Yeah, Mr. Attorneys, commissions are negotiable. And we're about to negotiate because there's going to be a difference in agents and what they do and what they charge. Just like attorneys charge different fees. Well, they all pass the same bar exam. They all do basically the same thing, right? They go and they say, Your Honor, we have Exhibit A. Don't they do the same thing? No, there's a massive difference in the outcome that they develop for you. Guess what, Mr. Attorney? Commissions are negotiable. We can negotiate all we want. And we're doing very, very well at that. These homeowners can list with anybody they want, including the flat fee attorney or the flat fee realtors that are out there. The will list it in the MLS for $999. Go ahead. But there's a difference with me. There's a difference with me. Why is it when I go to Ruth's Chris, or when I go to Jeff Ruby's, or when I go to any nice steakhouse, I may not be able to get in if I don't get reservations quick enough. Forget it if you just walk up there and they charge $300 for a couple. Why is it so hard to get in when you could just go to TGI Fridays and pay $13 a piece? It's steak. It's potatoes. Why is the place empty and the floors are sticky and they'll give you free popcorn, like they'll do anything to bring you, because it's garbage, because it doesn't provide the environment we're looking for, because it doesn't have the feel. Why is it when I get on a plane and everybody complains about plane prices and tickets, how is it that first class is always sold out? We can have 17 empty rows, but first class is sold out. How is that the case? Because people want quality. If they see a difference, they'll always go with the upper option. That's the reason. Why is it the first row always sells out before the last rows, or the nosebleeds sell out? Because there's a difference. What you need to do as a real estate agent is use the menu of services, use your coaching, use the value that you provide to show a difference in what you offer. Here's what you're not allowed to say. You're not allowed to say, I care about your business. Customer service is important to me. I'm always available. I always answer the phone. I've been in the business 17 years. I know the area like the back of my hand. I'm a real good negotiator. You know why I just said those 5 things? Because that's what every agent in your town says. I asked about different, not how can you tell me 5 things that everybody says? How can you tell me one thing that nobody says? I just spoke them to you. I just gave you your presentation. We better get you a new presentation, because that's what everybody in your town says. Okay. So, I think for a lot of agents here, I saw Sharice asked, how should we overcome the objection if a buyer or a seller prospect mentions the lawsuit? That's not an objection, by the way. They're probably looking for information. They're looking for education, information like, hey, I heard about this. What do I need to know? You got to make sure that you do address it properly and you talk about, exactly what happened there. It does need to be addressed. Frankly, I don't think you should ignore it. We've had a lot of agents that have lost listings the day after they got them. This is important. Don't miss this. If you list a house today, you'll probably lose it tomorrow. If you don't, as Sharice just said, if you don't talk about this lawsuit. Because what's happening is you go out there, let's say you negotiate 6.5%. You list the home, you put the lockbox on, you tell them the photo guy is going to be coming, you do all that stuff. Well, guess what happens tomorrow? They go to work and they tell their friends, oh, yeah, we put our home on the market. We're moving to Detroit. I don't think anybody's ever said that. We're moving to Denver, right? So they say, we're moving out of town. We put our home on the market. And what happens is one of their coworkers says, oh, you probably got it at like 2% or 3%, huh? No, we're paying 6.5. What do you mean 2? No, there was just a lawsuit that you don't have to pay that buyer agent side. What? Yeah, let's just go to Google. By the way, go Google it. Thousands of pages that home sellers were taking advantage of, and they don't have to pay the buyer side anymore. So what happens is they're not going to call you and have a conversation with you about it. You are one of the scammers in their mind. You didn't even tell them that they didn't have to pay the buyer broker fee. Well, they're not paying it anyway. You are, right? But you didn't explain that to them. So they're going to call you and say, well, I was talking to a coworker and we did a Google search and here's 3 links that I think you should know about because you're a real estate and you don't even know this exists. I'm not paying that side. I'm not paying it. Change it to 0 if I am staying with you. Because you tried to not talk about commission. Because all the crap that we've been told that we're not allowed to talk about it, which is stupid. That's not true. We're not allowed to price fix. So We can't price fix because hell, none of us even know how people are paid. How you can't get 10 people in a room and you can't get 5 of them to agree on who pays what. So it's important for you to have this conversation with every client you meet so that you don't have the next day regret call. Because they will talk to people and everybody is going to say, oh, you don't have to pay that commission anymore, right? Everybody is going to do that. So you want to make sure you do address that question, whether it comes up or not. You are the one that talks about it, and you're very clear and concise with them about how that works. Because here's the deal, by the way, this is a helpful script for you. I don't know if it's a script, but it's a concept that you'll be able to use as a script. New construction has always known commissions are negotiable. Sometimes they'll pay you a commission. Sometimes they're not paying realtor commissions. Sometimes they only have to pay you $1,000. And sometimes they're offering a 4% bonus and 5% on your third one. If you sell lots of these, we'll give you bonus. You know why? Because that's how you get buyer agents to work for you. So yes, you should tell the homeowners that buyer broker side is negotiable, but it's coming out of your own fee. But they should consider that when they're negotiating your fee, because the more that's given to the buyer agent, the more they're going to try for you. Do you want to negotiate it down, or do you want to negotiate it to the closing table? It's one or the other. Because, by the way, you don't have to negotiate it to zero. You could negotiate it to the buyer has to pay $5,000 of your commission. Guess what? 0 showings, 0 offers. Everybody calls you an idiot. So you could go the other way. You could say the buyer has to pay your commission. Yeah, commissions are negotiable. You know what you need to do? Offer them more so you can get your desired result. You know why you always tip your waiter more? To get good service. You know why it's good to tip them in advance? To get better service. You know why it's good to tip the maitre d' $20? Because he's going to tell that waiter, that dude spends money. Do a really good job for him. You're going to get a good tip. The more you offer, like I'm trying extra hard to sell new construction if they're paying a 4.5% co-op. So yes, commissions are negotiable. Yes, Mr. Seller, you should know that. You should know that when I tell you I charge 7 or when I tell you I charge 8 and I'm telling you that I'm paying a premium in co-oping with someone, it's so that your home can actually sell. Would you like to negotiate down to 0? Would you like to negotiate that they pay you? We can go as low as you want. It just depends on if you want to sell or not. So have that conversation with them. How many of you agree that's a good way to look at this, a good way to think about this? Let me know in the chat here. Do you agree? Yes or no? This is a better way to look at this and have a real conversation. When we take ourselves out of it and we look at new construction, we see that all the time. Sometimes they're like, no, the market's really good. We're not paying co-ops. Commissions are negotiable. Oh, the market sucks. We'll pay you 4% if you bring. I know you only got so many buyers. Don't send them over there. If you bring them to us, we'll pay you a bonus. That's what you want to describe to your owner. You know why? Because now you can get a bigger commission. Let me tell you something, Mr. Burnett legal team. You know what you did? You raised the commission for homeowners in America. Because now we're actually figuring this shit out. We're actually figuring out what we need to do to actually provide value for our homeowners to show that there's a difference in what we do and what we offer. And the more you pay the buyer's agent, the better your house is going to sell. I know you won, but your clients just lost. That's the truth about what's happened here. There is no way commissions are going to go down. Now, there's going to be a lot of agents that do this discount stuff. There's going to be a lot of agents that are doing 1% co-ops, but those agents aren't going to make it 6 months. The next time their bills come up, they price themselves out of the market. They Kmarted their way to another industry. If you want to be Kmart, go be Kmart. Not only did your product suck, not only did your service suck, not only did you have fluorescent lighting in your building and you had horrible customers that had no interest in ever paying you, you had to have everything clearanced and then have a blue light special on the clearances. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel. You're going to be out of the business. That's true probably for 700,000 realtors over time. But you know what I think? It's going to make us better. It's going to make us stronger. We're going to do a better job for our clients. We're finally going to have a better description of what we do, the value that they get for that, and they will opt in to pay more so they can get their desired result. See, I could pay less for steak. My desired result is not to get food. My result is to enjoy the experience, right? And to not get food poisoning. That would be helpful. But I'm not going to one of those other places, Chili's, TGI Fridays, whatever. I have to wait in line or get reservations in advance to go to the really expensive place because I'm looking for experience and desired outcome, desired result. So I really think that once this all ends, because, if you got my email and it said, oh, 0% commission is here, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I need to be afraid. I think we're going to be able to earn higher fees than we've ever earned before because we'll get rid of the bottom feeders. We just fed the real bottom feeders, so they'll stay away for a little while. They're not a licensed agent. They're licensed in something else. And they'll be gone for a while, counting all their money and buying their yachts while they represented homeowners to get $21. And we're going to be able to step our own game up to do a really good job and to truly have an open conversation with the homeowners. We were always nervous about it. We were always told we can't talk about it. I didn't even look, but I'm sure we'll find somewhere in the chat somebody says, we can't talk about commissions. We're not allowed to. This could be considered colluding. We don't even know how the hell we're paid. It's the reason the lawsuit happened anyway. How the hell we all are going to agree on what our fees are when we don't know who even brings the money to the table? Come on. Every single person in every market in America, real estate agents are lost and confused. At least 30, 40, 50% of them, they're lost and confused. That's who we're talking to. That's who we're competing against. That's who we're trying to have a meaningful conversation with. But there is nothing wrong with us knowing who pays fees, how traditional fees usually work, where the money comes from, how it's distributed, and how to have a disclosure conversation with our customers, with the clients that we're representing. We should do that. We should be open and have an open, honest conversation with them about it. But the crap that I'm seeing, these other coaches that are out there, many of you saw the morning meeting that I did the other day. If you are following the YouTube channel and you've rang the bell, you turn on notifications, you saw the other coach that is teaching, well, Mr. Seller, now let's get to the portion on commission. You agree I'm the best agent for your needs? Okay, great. Now I charge 3% for my representation. What we need to talk about now is how much you're going to compensate the buyer brokerage. Are you an idiot? That's literally why the lawsuit happened, because you said you're going to pay me and you're going to pay the buyer. You ain't paying the buyer brokerage nothing. You're paying it all to me. So there's coaches out there now that are saying to be NAR compliant, which I don't give a damn what NAR's rules are. I care what laws are. Do you know the difference between rules and laws? I want to be compliant. I want to follow all the rules, but I want to be NAR compliant and then teach something that's not NAR compliant because it's not lawsuit compliant. The freaking court of law. So I want you to really think about how you're having this conversation with them. You don't say, well, you're going to pay me this and you're going to pay them that. No, I get it all. What we're having the conversation about is how much I'm going to pay them. The listing brokerage, how much they're paying the co-op. Or do I want to get a 7% fee, a 8% fee, a 6.5% fee, and I can put 0 in the MLS because I'll allow them to negotiate whatever they think they're worth. I think it's going to be good because most agents kind of suck and they're like, oh, looks like it's 0. Maybe I can negotiate 1.5% in my contract. And then they get 1.5 of 7. Right? That's how commercial works, by the way. Now, I'm not giving you any recommendation. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm opening up options for you to consider. And most importantly, talk with your broker, talk with legal counsel, talk with whatever to get it done the way that you need to. But I think you'll find that, as I see Giovanni just commented here, it's another way to elevate professionalism, what it is that we do so everybody understands. Most generally, if there's a discrepancy, it's because there was a failure to communicate. That's true in every industry in the world. It's a failure to communicate. Okay. So I see I'm just kind of browsing over in the Q&A here. What about the listing agent double ending the deal for less? I don't think you should do less. I think you should, if anything, do more, but you've earned it, right? So why would you charge less for doing your job? The fact is, if I list a property, let's go round numbers. Let's say I list a home at 7%, okay? and I co-op at 3 or 3.5 or whatever that number is, whatever I negotiate with that homeowner. If I run full page ads in a newspaper and I give Google $7 million for pay-per-click advertising, and I run postcard ads to everybody in America, and Remax comes along with a buyer and sells it, means my marketing didn't work. Now, my marketing may have went to someone who was using Remax, right? But if they bring the buyer, they're the one that brought the buyer. My marketing got lots of exposure, but it didn't get the buyer. So yeah, I should be paying a co-op fee. But if my marketing works, if I'm as good as I say I am, and I actually do all this extended marketing and I do get the buyer, I damn sure deserve the fee. That's my feeling on how this works. Now, again, do it however you feel comfortable, but I really think you need to step your own game up. You need to step up what it is you do for that homeowner to get them to their desired outcome. Okay, so that's my personal thought process on that. So, and we always have questions. I saw somebody commented about dual agency and that type of thing. I don't want to get into a lot of those different topics here today. I was talking to one of my coaching members the other day, and she said, "I don't do dual agency. I don't do that. I want to represent one party because I know you can't do an effective job." I'll be like, "Lady, I know you. I know you have 2 kids. When they get in a fight, which one do you represent? You represent both. You actually do what's right. And if you do represent one to take advantage of the other one, that too is illegal. So what are you talking about? Do what's right. Do the right thing." Now, again, do what you feel is best. Do your own research. Talk with your broker. All the disclaimers. You're talking to a dude on YouTube, right? So do what you feel is best. But again, and I don't want to get sidetracked on that, but you need to understand the commission side, what you're going to be dealing with if you are working with buyers now, how that fee needs to be structured. And frankly, at this point, whatever the MLS says doesn't mean that needs to be what it is. That should be one of your takeaways today. Whatever the MLS says does not mean that's what it needs to be. Okay? If it says 0, if it says 3, if it says 5, if it says 2, maybe that's just a starting point. I truly believe, and again, mark it on the wall, this is where it should be. I truly believe it should always be 0. And then everybody becomes norm to negotiate, had a real conversation with a buyer, had a real conversation with a seller, negotiated that. And that's what happens with commercial, right? So I think that we're not offering anything. We're going to put a deal together. I think that's a better option. Now, that means that the listing agent is going to be thinking, man, they might want a full commission. I got to make sure I get a full commission. I can't be doing it at a discount because if I do it at 4% and the buyer's agent comes in and says they need 3, I'm screwing myself. So I'm actually going to do a better job here. See, what we've had before is listing agents are discounting themselves, but they're screwing the other guy. Now, if they discount themselves, they'd be screwing themselves because you can negotiate a full fee. I don't know. We're spitballing it here, but I really think that that's a better option. Okay. Wrote a book about it. Got a book right here that I just wrote on commissions on this backdrop here. So I want you to think about, yes, you should have, I saw in glancing over here, the buyer brokerage agreement. Yes, you should have an agreement with everybody you work with, right? And you should have an open conversation. "Ooh, I don't want to tell them they have to work with me." Well, then that means you kind of suck. That's like saying you'll date this lady, but you don't want to ask her to marry. Well, that means that what you offer is not good and she's looking at other options. Maybe if you offer a lot more, that buyer will ask if they could work with you exclusively. You got to step your game up. But again, do what the buyer or what the brokerage tells you to do. But it might involve you coaching them a little bit because there's an awful lot of brokers that are coming to me now saying, "Greg, I need some help. I got to figure out what to do with my brokerage, what my new policies are, how I'm going to coach my people on how to do this. I got agents that are losing deals left and right. I don't know what to tell." I'm like, "Well, that ain't the way it worked from the 100 years I've been involved." That's why they call them a broker, because they're a broker than the agent, right? So they can't give you the advice that you need. They're struggling as it is. So I want you to really kind of think through that as well. But moral of the story today And I'm not going to ramble forever, but I want this to be helpful for you. And again, as promised, I don't have anything I'm offering you at all. I'm trying to give you the guidance and the advice and the coaching you need. Those of you that are involved in inner circle coaching, you're already getting that stuff. One recommendation I'd have for you on lead generation is go to getfastclosings.com. I got a whole presentation there that'll help you. But for all of you today, what is your policy with buyers when you bring them in? How are you going to get paid if the MLS says it's 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever the case is? What are you doing when you meet with sellers to describe this whole commission issue? And maybe you take a freaking postcard with you, right? But you're going to be in presentations and they'll be like, well, we bought this house 4 years ago and we just got this in the mail. Can you tell us about this? It's going to happen. You need to be ready for that. It is going to happen. It's a very real thing. So my goal for all of the agents involved with me, if you're following me, Facebook, YouTube, if you are an inner circle coaching member with me, you're getting everything you need. But no matter where you're at, I want to help you with direction and focus on what you need to do here. There's always going to be a million opinions. There'll be a million opinions in the chat. There's going to be a million opinions at your office, and it may even be against what your broker thinks is the best policy. And I can guarantee you, I'm talking to more people. Me, personally, I'm talking to more real estate agents and brokers than anybody else in this country right now. Because I don't let anybody else coach for me. I don't have other people that are doing calls. Did you make your calls? I think you should make your calls. Do you have a mirror in front of you so that you're smiling? Because people can tell when you're smiling on the phone. I'm telling you, don't make the calls because there's better ways to convert your leads. But I'm the coach. So I talk to a lot of real estate agents about what's going on every single day. I can assure you, I'm trying to give the very, very best guidance that I can give, particularly for those members that are in my inner circle, the most important people to me. So get the advice you need. Make sure you are paying attention with emails, with if you're on my email list, my YouTubes that I'll be doing lives on. Once I think I've figured out how to share my screen now. And we'll be giving a lot of value to you guys, the tools you need to use. Again, if you download that menuofservices.com, that's the best way to get that. I'll figure out how to give you files on here where I can post it in the chat and give it to everybody, that type of thing, so that we can get you making as much money as possible. Okay. Let me see. Anything else that I would need here? I think I got most of your questions answered. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. This is the first time we've done a YouTube live. I've got a pretty good agenda of what we're going to be doing for you to give you as much value as possible. So your time spent with me is going to be time well spent. It's going to be an investment to get your business where it needs to go. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Let me know your thoughts here. Give me a thumbs up or a heart here if this has been helpful for you. I'm always here to help in any way that I can. I think you'll see that sincerity in me, and you're going to see I don't have another agenda. My goal is to get you making tons of money. I'm doing fine, and the people that believe in me, I make sure they continue believing in me. So I want to do the same for you. Thanks so much for joining today, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye for now.